What is up, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Start, Build, Grow Show. Once again, we have an amazing guest, and we're going to be disrupting the sales industry right now in the roofing and home services space. Things are changing, things are evolving, whether you like it or not. So we're going to be talking about technology and how the traditional way we sell is being disrupted. Stay tuned. All right, everybody, welcome to the show. We have another amazing guest today. We got James Hatfield with Live Switch, and as I teased a little bit earlier, he's on the forefront of really leveraging some awesome technologies and disrupting, as he says, his own words, he's disrupting the sales space and how we do traditional sales. So we're going to dive into that, but in traditional fashion, we'll get the story and kind of connect with you first. But James, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for joining us.
Randy, thanks for having me. Excited to be here, talk about the journey and talk about how sales is getting disrupted nowadays.
I love it, man. It's such a fun word, right? It's a little bit of a buzzword, but it's kind of fun to say, and it's kind of, exciting to get our interest. So, in traditional fashion, man, this show is about entrepreneurship in the trade space, in the service business. Share a little bit about your backstory. How'd you get into, what you do and what you know?
Well, as they say, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So my grandfather, unfortunately, his dad passed away young, and he was the oldest in the family. So he had to drop out of high school and go get a job at a tire shop. So we don't come from much. And he told me, James, when you grow up, I want you to paint the roads, man. Like that'll be the dream job. If you can get the machines and paint the highways, you have made it. I was like, all right, maybe I won't start with painting the roads, but I can start painting houses. Right. So I opened up a painting company, had multiple crews, painted homes, did residential, and that led into starting a power washing company. And then felt like, man, I probably want to go and get my college education. I think that might be a good thing to do. So put myself through college, got to know the numbers, got to understand the financial statement, income statement, how to take care of employees, hire, fire, promote. And that led into a wild ride with one of my other partners who had a landscaping company and a laundromat. And he ended up graduating from Duke with his MBA, and he was good with numbers. And he approached me with a technology, and that's when life changed a little bit from running my company to building technology in different spaces. So excited to talk about that journey as well. But I definitely have my roots running companies and building companies, and I've started some nonprofits as well.
Very cool. So, multifaceted serial entrepreneur here we're dealing with here.
Oh yeah.
What, I'm just curious, man. I like to spend a little time in the entrepreneurial world. And I'm just going to kind of come in here from left field, but out of, you've done a lot of things, leading up to what you're doing now. What was probably the biggest failure? Like what didn't work? What was the biggest lesson you learned along your journey?
Yeah, shoot. I mean, you're an entrepreneur long enough, you fail all the time. If you ever start having employees, don't worry, you're going to say stupid stuff, say the wrong thing. And as times change, continue to say the wrong thing. So I think a lot of it is just dealing with people. If it was just me, myself, and I in a business, I'd probably still find a way to mess it up. But uh, as I work and grow employees, all different kinds, you've got lawyers, you got HR, you got sales, you got ops, you've got fill in the blank. I tend to find that I make my biggest mistakes when I put my foot in my mouth, say something I shouldn't, and then go back and have to tuck tail and get humble and apologize and move forward. Right? That's just the human way,
Yep.
And we mess up with customers, we mess up on jobs. I I remember one time we're sitting here painting this house, and we do a final walk around. I always go out, final walk around, make sure the customer's happy. And we're looking at this house, and we must have painted it during a cloudy week, but that day the sun was shining bright, and I'm standing there with the homeowner, and we're looking at it. I'm like, goodness, this house is shining like a diamond, man. Can you see that? He's like, I can see that. And I knew exactly what happened. Paint company shot some gloss in my flat, and the house was just super shiny. So we had to repaint that thing. And I told the homeowner, I was like, you probably won't have to paint this for the next 30 years. But we made it right. I was a nonprofit that week with one of the crews, but things happen, mistakes get made, but you clean it up, and do the right thing, and good things come back around.
Absolutely. There's the lesson is do the right thing, right? And when you make a mistake, own it and find the way to solve it. And oftentimes it's going to cost you some money, but that's okay. Just look at it as it's an investment in your education. And we call that dumb tax. in the entrepreneurial world, right? So we've all paid plenty of dumb tax and made those mistakes. So thanks for sharing, man. I love that. Dude, in the roofing world, man, plenty of times. I mean, ever roofed the wrong house? Been there, done that. You get there and start tearing off, and the supplier delivered to the wrong house. The crew just shows up next door and starts working. And we had to call. Why is there a crew on my roof? Why are they tearing off? Oh, whoops. So that's always fun. Happened a couple times.
Congratulations, you are the
Maybe it only happened once or twice. I don't know.
yeah.
Anyways,
we've all
man.
done it.
So let's get into entrepreneurial world. So, well, I guess we'll transfer into the tech. So you said you're doing some different things in the trades. What sparked your interest in technology, and then what did you do when you kind of shifted in your mindset to focus on that?
Yeah, so in the first business that we scaled from incubator, and it's a multi-billion-dollar company now, we started off understanding the problem of most business owners don't really understand their income statement, financial, and their balance sheet. They're going to their bookkeeper, they're going to their accountant, accountant's talking in English, and you're nodding, but you don't understand a word they're saying, right? So we created a technology that you put that income statement balance sheet in, it'll analyze it and tell you exactly what's going right and wrong in layman's terms and compare it to private company data so you can see how you compare. We started that with nothing. And well, I happen to be pretty good at sales. I've grown up knocking on doors for my painting company, Power Wash. So I was like, hey, let's just pick up the phone and start calling financial institutions and CPAs, and I'll dial for dollars all day long because we had nothing. We had no customers. And so it just was pure hustle, pure getting hung up on all the time. And this was back in the day when I had my first computer. I was working in the hallway in a back nowhereville, of an office, and we're just trying to build this thing from bones. And sure enough, start selling, start getting in front of people. One thing led to another. We became Inc. 500, which means we were one of the fastest growing companies on the planet for 3 years and running. And it's literally on the back of hard work. Don't underestimate the value of knocking on doors or getting your kids out there if you have them to get to knock on doors, because that'll make you that'll teach you how to run a business, really. Put yourself out there, get told no long enough, no doesn't bother you, and then you wait to get to the yes. And from there, that company grew. We had an exit and multi-billion-dollar company from KKR, and we went into philanthropy, started some different nonprofits, and then from there, we figured, oh, not quite young enough to hang up our cleats, so we purchased a company, and we're on to it again. This company we purchased 4 years ago, and we can talk about that journey too, and how we ended up back into the trades, and why we're talking about roofing and all other kinds of home service companies, and what we're doing to disrupt that as well.
Cool. I'm curious. We're going to go there, but you touched on something that I think is super valuable, and I say this in different different arenas, but if you can knock on a door, you'll survive forever. Like if you have the courage and the ability to knock on doors, and it's physically and metaphorically, because if you have the wherewithal to go out and chase something and sell something to somebody, you're never going to go hungry. And it's interesting because it's like I got a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old, and my 10-year-old and my son, he's got a snow cleanup, snow business that he's doing right now, and he just goes and knocks on the neighbors and sells. So he got his first contract where now every single time it snows, he's required to go over there. And then he reminded me yesterday. He's like, "Well, I'm going to bring in my friend because he's going to help me, and we'll split the money." I'm like, so funny because that's literally how I started as a kid when I was like, Apple doesn't, you just mentioned in the beginning, Apple doesn't too far from the tree. So taught him how to knock doors, taught him how to go talk to people. He's set for life now, right? My daughter, cookies. This is our first ever and if you're listening to this, hey, go to my Facebook page and buy some cookies. Okay. We got to help support that. But she's a Girl Scouts, and you better believe this weekend, or as soon as it warms up, we get the cookies, I think this weekend or next weekend. And you better believe we're going to be taking the wheelbarrow. I'm going to teach her how to knock some doors and sell some cookies, because that's a life skill that if you can actually master or have the wherewithal to do that, you're never going to go hungry.
That's right. And if you sold them before, make sure you put it on the resume, because you can build an entire sales force off of ex-Girl Scouts selling cookies. You can sell cookies. Come on, you can sell anything. Let's go.
Absolutely. I'm gonna add that as one of my anytime I'm interviewing a female. Did you do Girl Scouts? How well did you sell your cookies? That's a good question to add to your interview questionnaire. Okay, so technology, sales. What you gave me the buzzword, man. I'm all buzzed up. What's up? How are you disrupting sales? And start from the beginning, and then let's work into it.
Yeah, let's start with a story, because usually it's not where you start, it's where you finish, right? So We purchased this company, and it's really focused on video technology. One of only a few companies in the world that do it. And one of the things that was driving me nuts, one of the nonprofits I run, I was sitting, in my office one day, and I get a text from one of our interns, and she says, "Hey, please pray for me right now. I'm under the table at UNC Chapel Hill, and there's a shooter across the street." And my heart just sunk, you know? And it's like, man, someone's got to do something about this. We can't arm all our teachers with AK-47s. That's not going to work out.
Mhm.
We've got to do something. We've got to shine some light on the problem. And so we got to work, and we started working with the chief of police in Washington, D.C. I got to personally work with them to reinvent the 911 phone call, as one does. But what has happened is when you place a 911 phone call, you are calling on telephony. So the worst part of your phone, isn't it ironic? It's your phone. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? That's on
Yep.
telephony. It's an ancient technology. Now what'll happen is you'll get a text, you'll tap it, and you'll instantly get to point your camera, now that all smartphones have cameras, at the situation, and live from the citizen's camera, it can go right to the police car or fire truck. It's called situational awareness, so they can see what they're driving into. And so we've been working on that, building that. It's been going across campuses, and back to the roots, right, of running home services. Like, well, who else could use a technology like this where you just send a text and tap it and you can see, what's going on. Instead of just blind talking to someone, I can now see. And I met a guy who's very serious in the moving industry. He runs moving conferences, and I was actually trying to disrupt the self storage industry first, and that's a whole nother story. But I got on with this guy, and he's like, "James, you got no idea what you've got in your hands there." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "We will use this for virtual estimates and documentation, where I don't have to roll a truck out somewhere because it's the most expensive thing I do as a business owner. I put a guy on who's got an hourly wage in the hopes that we close the deal, and he's in my truck. He's got gas money, and he's unproductive while he's behind the wheel of the truck. I still got to do it because I got to get the money." He's like, "Now we'll just do it virtually." And he was so right. And now we've created an entire platform that will disrupt how you do sales virtually wherever your customer is, whether they're on your website, on the job site, at the home, sitting in the office, and you can put your sales team front and center because we know a face has a higher close rate than a robot or chatting on the phone or tapping away on the keyboard.
You got me intrigued, my man. First off, thank you for your, philanthropic work. Words are hard. Philanthropic work. Like that's, I mean, that's incredible, right? You've done some amazing things. And for those that we're all entrepreneurs, a lot of us out there, we're striving. Many of us, maybe it's our first business, maybe we've had success and we found the roofing industry as like a big upside. And there's a lot of big things happening in our industry or in the trades industry in general, but I would encourage anybody, if there's one takeaway here, other than hey, there's cool technology and like this disruption and all the things we've been talking about, but I believe that it is our as as entrepreneurs, we're incredibly blessed to have the opportunities that we have, and I believe that at its core, day one, we should always incorporate some sort of element of giving back, some sort of philanthropic element. You may not have all the money in the world. That's okay. Allocate your time. When you get money, give money back, right? It creates an incredible level of pure joy and happiness and fulfillment that you cannot teach. I can teach you the numbers. We talked about P&Ls already. We talked all these things. So if you're listening out there, you're an entrepreneur, day one, write it into your business plan, your giving, your philanthropy, and what you're going to do to give back to your communities. And I promise you, you're going to have a much smoother and a much better, much more enjoyable and satisfying ride on the way up as an entrepreneur.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, one of the biggest things, it's better to give than receive, right? And you are the mom and dad of your organization. If you're an entrepreneur and you're a business owner, your mom and dad, you're the one cutting the paychecks. And I don't know if you've ever been there where you're handing somebody a paycheck and that month wasn't so hot for you and you don't take a paycheck as an owner. And then your employee turns around and complains about their pay. It's like being a parent of the organization. They have
Yep.
no idea, right? And you don't go into that detail with them, but it's the same thing with philanthropy and going out there and giving. You're not going to receive financially anything back, but what you become is the mother and father of your community, of that organization, and you're the hands and feet. And being able to give back has much more fulfillment in my life than any, I remember hitting seven figures for the first time in revenue and that was a great thing, right? You have these milestones, but nothing fills you up more than when you have an opportunity to give back because you know where you come from. And who knows, we're all not that far away from needing someone to help us. And that's a humble position to be and where you're accepting help from other people. So let's give it where we
Absolutely.
can and go get it.
I love that. And I love that. The premise here, when we were talking just before we hit record, my man, is I keep these organic because you never know what's going to come out. I love the engage. I love the thank you, listeners, for listening. You guys are incredible. Hopefully, you've listened to lots of episodes. Hopefully, you like. Hopefully, you subscribe. Do all the things. Leave us a review, comment, blah, blah, blah. Do all the things. But at the end of the day, man, I'm here and I'm learning every single interview. Every time I bring someone on the show, it's inspiring and I'm learning and I don't script anything. We keep it organic because I like the hair standing up because I'm inspired just from the discussion we've already had on the philanthropy side and giving back. It's such an incredible thing. However, let's shift gears. Let's get back into it. I'm intrigued by the specifics. So I run a sales organization. How do I join the disruption?
Right. Well, welcome to the age of Amazon, and welcome to the age of we don't like waiting for anything. Have you ever had it to where somebody filled in your fill out form and then you get to them, but you can't bid them for maybe a day or two? And then when you get ready to go out there, it's actually like I took another deal and it's only been 24 hours or less. Speed to lead is so important right now. And you've got to find ways that you can get in front of that customer, build that trust, start getting them committed and taking them down your process because you don't want them talking to anybody else. And if they do, they want to see compare, they're going to compare you. There's no participation awards here in business. When that phone rings digitally, virtually, you better be picking it up and then you better be hopping right into your pre-qualification. And historically, we've done pre-qualification calls audio only or tapping on the keyboard. We have a few questions that we ask before we decide to roll the truck out because sometimes there's customers out there you actually don't want, or you get out there and then you do quote them and they're like, $20,000 for a new roof. I had no idea. Well,
Yep.
you as a business owner just paid a very expensive cost because you have to do it. So when these leads come in, now you can do a few new things that you've never been able to do because of the power of the cell phone, right? And so you are able to instantly video connect with that prospect. And that video connection, the reason you go on site is because that human face and you're in the house and you're closing the cash, right? It's the human face that is the differentiator because that's what builds trust. So if you can quickly get to the human face, that's faster you're going to get to the cash because you're going to build that trust. They're going to see you either as a business owner or you get to put the right people on the right seats on the bus, right? I'm sure you got some great roofers, but they suck at customer service and they can't close a door. They can't sell anything. So I want my customers and prospects talking to my sales team who are going to upsell them, get them the top quality roof, and they're going to sell the protection plans and they're going to get that done. And you can do that now with live video technology, whether it's on property or off property, or they're clicking on your website and you can instantly put a human video up very quickly to interact with that prospect.
JobNimbus is a fully customizable back office solution.
Track leads, jobs, tasks from one easy-to-use software.
And with the largest ecosystem of integrated partners, if we don't do it, we have a friend who does.
Learn how the #1 back office system in roofing
can help you be efficient, be organized, be professional, and be profitable.
I love that. All right. So let's put a little bit more, let's put a little more context into this. I am a customer, right? I'm, and maybe it's not, I guess, is roofing you want, or what's your main bread and butter before you kind of got into the roofing side of things?
Home services. Home services are bread and butter. I don't care what you do. You're putting a roof on, you're doing a move, you're doing, electrician, plumber. We got you. We want to save a trip out in the truck. That's what we're trying to do.
We'll stick with roofing. That's always a good topic, right? We talk about that a lot on here. But for those listening, hey, this is 2025. We are growing. We are expanding. This isn't just about roofing. It's about home service. It's about entrepreneurship. It's about leadership. So make sure you connect and share this out with someone else who might be beneficial, might benefit, and might enjoy tuning into the show. So I am a customer, and I own a home, and I need to get a roof. I call ABC Roofing, and they've already installed your property. Walk me through that process.
Right. And even right before that, what do? What does everybody do? They go to Google and they put in roofers near me. Don't you do that when you buy something? I do.
Yep.
And what's
And
the
I
first
just
thing you're
found
gonna?
the roofing company with the best reviews, right? I found, ABC Roofing has the best reviews. I'm calling them.
That's right. It's in the age of Amazon. If they don't have 5 stars, you're not calling them. 4.5, maybe. 4, definitely not. And 3, something's wrong with you, right? So if
Yep.
you're not all over your Google, forget it. They're not calling you. If you're wondering why you're not getting calls, check how many stars you got. So when they do that, they'll check you out. And what does a customer really want to know? Do you have the 5 stars? How much is this going to be? And when can you be there? Right? And
Yep.
so that's what they're interested in. They're not really interested in your award-winning personality or your fresh new haircut. Like, they don't care about that. They want to go on to your website and they're going to look out over your website, right? You might even have a checkout process. You've got a customer journey on your website, good, bad, or ugly, right? And some of it might be put in your address here. It takes a satellite photo and shows you here's your top of your roof in this case. It could be any business. It's we're just picking on roofers right now. And then from there, what does it do? Hey, here's a high grade roof, mid grade, low grade. And then right there, a customer might think, I don't really know anything about roofing. I don't know if I need the highest, the mid, the low. I want to ask a question. Well, up pops a little bubble. Well, they can talk to robots. How's your robot score doing? How many points the robot put on the board, dollar wise? Probably not many. It sounds good to a business owner though, because then I don't have to hire an employee. Okay. Now what can happen is they can hit the bell or the bubble, and up pops a video of your number one salesperson. Right? They're working from home. They got a virtual background behind them with your company brand, and hey, looks like you're trying to pick high, medium, or low. Let me tell you about that. What other questions do you have? You start engaging them right there with live video and they see your salesperson. And then you can start that process right there doing your pre-qualification. And if you so could, probably not in roofing as much, you're probably still going to have to go out sometimes, right, to close those, 5+ figure deals. But if you're a painter, if you're a plumber, if you're a mover, you don't have to roll the truck. Hey, start walking around the house and show me what you want. You can take remote pictures, you can record everything, and then you can quote them, bid them, send the DocuSign, and get the money because that's what you want as a business owner, right? You want to book the job. As much as you want to hang out in the sales process and talk about getting the money, we want to get the money quick. So that's the first element of change and disruption is the immediacy of getting that human, your salesperson, right in front of them visually, right from your website. And that's just step 1.
Awesome. Well, what's step 2?
Step 2. So what you can do is you're going to go out and bid. Maybe you did close it virtually. You close that bid. Well, you got to send your operational team out there to do it. So what you need to do is have your operations team watch that sales video on 2x speed, by the way, so that you know what you bid. How often have you got to a job site and say, oh, they said they'd be roofing the garage as well as the main house. Let me check the instant replay on my video. No, we're happy to do the garage as well, but we only quoted you for just the house and not the garage. So you're 1, covering your backside there, making sure you're not overdoing it. 2, what about pre-existing damage? You notice on the video, their gutters have been banged up. Your team didn't do that. It's time stamped. But what happens is homeowners don't always walk around their property every day, right? You're up there, your guys up there changing the roof. The homeowner gets out there to look at the guys, and then they notice the banged up gutters. Who do they blame? Why?
Yep.
Claims. You're already charging them a lot. So how they want to bring their money down. So they start blaming you. So now that you have everything on video on the instant replay, and if you didn't get it and your guys show up, have them take their phone out of the pocket, use this technology and document damage. Do not get on that roof or do that work until you document it, because I want to make sure we're unapologetically for-profit company here with my painting plumbers or roofers. So that's 2. 3, your team does a great job. They kill it. The roof's beautiful. You might want to go ahead and take a customer testimonial right there on site. Your guys can scan a QR code right from their truck and get their phone out and videotape, Mr. or Mrs. Customer saying beautiful things about your company. You want those 5 stars on Google? Google looks at all of your pictures, all of your videos, all of your comments to make sure that they're real and authentic. And the more real and authentic, and they can tell nowadays, the higher you go up without having to pay and grease the palms of Google, because Google does like to serve up the best in the area. So you can do that as well. Before and after videos, really showing people what's going on. And if there happens to be a claim or an issue that happens, it's all documented. You got it for the claim. And you're just streamlining your sales, operations, and then future sales with that. And then the final piece of the puzzle. All right. membership programs, right? Protecting the valuable work that you just did. You can start charging for protection plans. So maybe I come from painting, right? We stained your deck. I could say, hey, look, for $200 a year, we're going to come out and we'll seal the deck at no extra charge. Sealant's like so cheap. But then I can go up there and upsell them, right? As a painter, it's like, hey, have you thought about doing the interior? Have any friends? But I'm also getting recurring revenue. And you can leave behind a QR code that they can put on their fridge. You can literally paste these QR codes. If you're an electrician, put it on the breaker box. If you just did the brand new doors, put it on the hinges, and they can scan it. Because once I'm your fill in the blank home services, I don't want you using anybody else. So I want to make it convenient that you're always using me anytime, and I've got everything documented that I've ever done over the years with you.
Yep, love it. And for roofers, check this out. It's come up a lot, like maintenance programs. How do I do that? People may buy a roof. You're probably going to need a paint job more than you need a roof, unless you're in an area you get held on or whatever. But what about gutter cleaning? Doing inspections, like something like that. You can add that on as a maintenance package and clean the gutters every fall. Another reason to get on that roof and look for other challenges, other issues. And then whether you do the trades or not, or you can partner with other companies, now you're just creating a database, right? And now you have lots of opportunities. So my mind's already going. It's super intriguing. So I want to shift a little bit, and that's awesome. So if I want to learn more about this technology and what you're doing, how do I do that?
Easy. Go to liveswitch.com, liveswitch.com. And in fact, even when you go on there, you can ask for me and I'll be sure to walk you through. And not only can we talk tech, but we can talk business. I mean, I'm happy to talk. I've been on with business owners. We're talking hiring, firing, bonusing, like we're way off the tech trail. But, I always challenge all entrepreneurs to get your board of directors together, not just your board of directors if you're, if you've got people investing in your company, but your personal advisory board.
Yep.
People have been there and done that. And by the way, they don't always have to have gray hair on their head. They can be some of the young bucks that are up and coming and killing it as well. And your diversity of your board of directors. That way, what works, what doesn't, can I run this by you? And also, can you give back? And your mastermind groups, your vendor groups, the good vendors out there are actually perfect to add to your mastermind groups. They're not always trying to get the credit card out of your wallet. I promise you, there's a number of us out there trying to actually enhance your business and give you golden nuggets on how you can kill it.
I love that. That's and you kind of already jumped in. Maybe you're familiar with the show, but in traditional fashion, towards the end of the show, I'm always going to ask each guest, kind of put you on the spot and ask you for, what's your golden nugget? What's like the one thing that you would like to give as like some advice that you've learned? And I'm gonna ask for another one because that one was awesome, and I love that because I think there's a book I'm actually reading right now, Tribe of Mentors. And create your own tribe of mentors. And even if you're brand new in the industry, find a group of people that that share common interests, that are willing to share and help and just at least give you their perspective on things. And there's a lot of amazing groups out there. And for those of you who are in the roofing specific industry, and many of we have a program, right? I run the Roofing Academy, and it's one of my favorite things. Tomorrow morning we have our mastermind group call, and it's something that we all look forward to the most. Like, how often do you just take 2 hours out of your day, set your business aside, set everything aside, and come together with a group of dozen or more, couple dozen dedicated entrepreneurs in your same space that all care and all are willing to share vulnerably and be there for you. Find groups like that. I'm in an entrepreneur organization. There's all these different places to do that and create that tribe of mentors. Mentorship is incredibly valuable, and you'd be surprised, especially some of the more successful people understand the value of giving back, and they are more. We talk about knocking doors. We don't ever stop that, right? You never stop that. It just changes the door you're looking at. So as an experienced entrepreneur, in my case, I'm knocking on doors of like people who have had massive exits, people who've built massive companies, people who have had massive success. I'm knocking on their doors to try to learn from them and connect with them. So never stop knocking doors. That's my golden nugget that I'm taking from you so far. But I'm going to put you on the spot. Give me another one from a sales leadership perspective.
Yeah. I hope you're not a Netflix and chill person. Whatever you need to be doing is what goes in between your ears, right? Podcasts like this one, you should be listening to them. What books are you reading or listening to? right? You can't, for anyone watching on video, you can see my entire behind me is tons of books. I've got sales leadership books that I subscribe to, older books that I've loved. And the more books that you're putting between your ear, and yes, an Audible or wherever can also be just as great. I won't just travel somewhere and not be listening, or not have a book that I'm reading and have goals of education. No matter how good you're getting, you can always learn something new. And that way, it might not even be for you. You might be reading a book and it isn't even just for you. Because when you go to those masterminds, guess what you're going to want to do? You're going to want to give back. We've been talking about philanthropy. Are you a taker or are you a giver? Right? When you show up to those mastermind groups, are you coming with something fresh, something new? These books are going to equip you to be always ready to serve, give, and when you get put on the spot, hey, what's your third golden nugget and fourth golden nugget? You're able to continually give. And so I want to challenge everybody here, especially with the New Year's, go and make a resolution to go and just get as many books between your ears as you possibly can this year.
Man, I love that. And you're preaching to the choir, man. It's like I'm constantly, so I just shifted my camera over there. I'm constantly like into the books, and my Audible is constantly full. And anytime I do, and I meet with somebody, I'm just like, add it to the wish list, and I'm constantly downloading. And it's, let's just give a live recommendation, okay? And this is one that, again, I mentioned Tribe of Mentors. I'm listening to that book, and one of the questions that he asks all these very, very, very successful people in the world. And that's one by 4 Hour Work Week. Why am I drawing a blank?
Ferriss?
Tim Ferriss. So it's a book from Tim Ferriss, right? It's a book he just basically interviewed hundreds of super successful authors and actresses and entrepreneurs and all these people, and ask them a series of questions, and they take all the feedback, compiled it into a book. So it's a really good listen. It came out a few years ago. I'm listening to that, and one of the questions they ask is, what's a book or books that you give away the most? And a resounding, like, one of the books that a lot of the people that are interviewed recommended was Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. And I had heard that in the past, right? I'm like, okay. 1962, this book comes out, and it's still like one of the most recommended books by some of the most successful people in the world. Go get that book. I'm like halfway through it, and every time I get in my truck, I'm like, I need to go drive. I need to go do something, because I'm gonna go for a walk just so I can put an earbud in and listen, because it's just like, it is a life changer. It's a game changer. It makes you completely rethink of every little aspect of how you think about life, and the idea of purpose and giving back and meaning, and looking for meaning. So there's a recommendation for you if you're listening to the podcast. Again, I know I went off on a few different tangents, but it's been an amazing time hanging out with you, James Hatfield with Live Switch. Thank you so much for joining us, my man. And if you are listening to the podcast, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, I would encourage you to like, subscribe. We're not just roofing, we're sharing this out to any entrepreneur that finds value in it. Awesome. If you're in the trade space, if you know someone in the trade space, share this out, help spread the love. And if you don't mind, if you have gotten some good value out of it, leave us a comment and or leave us a review. Again, like we mentioned, those reviews help. We're really trying to push growth on the show this year. So we can't do that without you, the loyal listener. So thank you so much, James, for joining us. Any last words before we roll, my man?
No, thank you for having me. And thank you, everyone who's listening. If you're an entrepreneur, you're building a business, you are definitely changing lives right where you're at. When you're handing out those paychecks, you're putting food on the table, and you're doing an honest day's work. I just want to commend you. I've walked in your shoes for many, many years, and I know it's blood, sweat, and tears over and over again. So, Randy, thank you for having me. And hopefully you guys take us up on the challenges from today.
All right. I love it. Thank you, everybody. Take care and keep paying it forward in the world, guys. Take care. God bless.